There's a lot of talk on the internet about modern relationships. It's impossible to escape this subject, it seems. Everybody's talking about it. OMG, it's causing more divorces than marriages. OMG, there are more people um, single playing video games, and mainly men. They focus on themselves and don't care about marriage. They work a job and then they get hobbies, and they don't care about women anymore. And if you go to clubs, it's 80% women dancing. You don't see any men. Well, humans, I think, human society has always been the same. You know, what changes sometimes is the levels of, stability. The levels of stability brings about this type of heathenism in which, you know, people seek pleasure, enjoying life, and they don't care about serious things because, you know, there's stability and people enjoy it, right? People in the past got married because it was a good deal. It has nothing to do with love. No, it was a good deal. It was a survival mechanism. Now we are stable enough that we don't really need to do that anymore. I mean, you can compare it to, you know, Greece and Rome and all other cultures around the world when they reach a certain level of stability. Women kind of, no longer need men in a certain way. They become more dependent. Um, at the same time, population collapse because there's not enough births, um, and there's lots of, single parents and their children, just after witnessing the horror, of single parenthood, they don't want to repeat the same mistakes. Um, so it's kind of cyclical, and I'm of the opinion whatever causes the decline in a civilization is actually its success. That's what causes the decline. It becomes so successful that um, this type of behavior, just starts getting more normally normal, and then the only way for this society, for this culture to survive, is with injection of the urgent injection of migrants, right? Oh, and by the way, welfare, it's not a new thing. I mean, it's been tried many times. In Rome, it's been tried. And I suspect Greece as well. Welfare, yes. And it is these types of policies, after periods of stability, we just have the luxury of installing these policies. But the thing is, these policies create mediocrity, create lazy people, create entitled and pontificating people, and people that don't want to produce. They just want to enjoy the hard work of the previous generations. Anyone single at the moment, that's just enjoying their lives, quote unquote, are, just, enjoying. So, because of the sacrifices of the previous generations, they gave us these infrastructure, gave us this country, gave us everything. And if people don't invest in family early on and educate them properly, um, this is not going to last. It's not going to last. Look at what's happening in the UK and in Sweden and other places. Their local population failed to rejuvenate the population. Now they are forced to import whatever, so that economy is whole held together. because if they don't have new people coming in, there won't be anybody left to pay retirement for, next generation, for the next generation of retired people. You understand how these things work? I don't know. It seems to me, people that think this way, in a more social way, they always vote themselves into a corner. They vote themselves to a corner, and in desperation, they start declaring war to their neighbors. That's what's going on right now. They're like a cornered beast. They don't know where to go get money. Welfare drains instead of, creating. It drains the resources. Anyone who has some will to build something is not going to risk doing it in a welfare state, because if they take, risks in order to create something, it's going to be taxed highly. In France, I think it's 60% or even more. I mean, last time I checked, it was 60%. If you have a company, I mean, that doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? Doesn't make a lot of sense. No wonder all these companies around Europe are going bankrupt. Anyway, there's nothing new under the sun. Um, it's not history that repeats itself, it's behavior. It's behavior. I was thinking before I got here about what gives origin to a fascist regime, what gives origin to a communist regime, what gives origin to a totalitarian regime, and its emotions. I mean, I've seen many people making the case that it's a religion, it's a theology, it's passed from generation to generation, blah 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 blah. But it all sums up into human archetypes and human emotions. Yes. Anger, for instance, will seduce people into fascism and tyranny. Jealousy will seduce people into communism. Everything is connected to emotions. Yeah. Laziness, and entitlement will seduce socialists. Socialism kind of gives you the false idea of security. It gives you the false idea of security. And people, like I said, vote themselves into these corners for more and more government. Man, I'm not married. I just don't see the point. So, yeah, I just don't see the point. And even if I had children, they weren't technically mine, uh, because there's certain steps that you have to take. And if you don't take those steps, they take the children away from you. So when you have that implemented, I'm like, no, no. Even if I choose not to participate, they will take them away from me. So they're not yours per se. That goes for education, health. Um, what else? Not just that. Um, it will come back. But for instance, I think it was around 60 years ago when this welfare was being implemented. Anyone in their right mind, as a man, would should have immediately stopped marrying women, because government sneaked in between both. It used to be okay, it's a contract between the man and the wife, right? And it's their business, it has nothing to do with government. But then, uh, around 60, 70 years ago, when welfare state was being, implemented. um, that should be a clear message to all men. From that moment on, marriage should be boycott, just not acceptable at all. It's not acceptable what they did. All men should immediately stop getting married from that moment on, because government just sneaked and started being the intermediary between the couple. It's no longer a relation of two, it's a relation of three. There's government as a judge almost in the middle. And it's always man that was penalized. Always. And it's still at this moment. It's crazy. Uh, so, like I said, you know, I never had this will to get married. A thing that I've noticed is that I spend too much time thinking about things I don't want. I spend too much time thinking about the unwanted, what causes, pain, what causes, you know, uh, dark times. I spend a lot of time thinking about that. And it's not good for the spirit, because it causes anxiety and depression. But thinking about the dark side of the soul, so to speak, this dark side of this life, kind of helped me also to avoid things before they happened. Yeah, and one of the things I avoided was marriage. It just didn't make any sense. Sorry, doesn't make any sense. Uh, Probably made sense in the past. Like I said, it was a deal between family, between two people, between the family mainly. It was the parents actually that scouted for a partner, because when we are 18 years old, we don't really know anything about life, and grown-ups actually know more about your preferences than you know yourself. So the grown-ups have a better eye, because they have more experience to finding you a partner than yourself. So I agree with quote unquote arranged, not arranged. In the end, it's always the couple that chooses, but follow the advice of more wise people. Look at this woman, the way she presents herself, the way she acts. She comes from a good or no family. You know, you can see just in the appearances and the way they talk and the demeanor and everything. You can deduce lots of information when you are a grown up. When you already have 40, 50 years old. But when you're 18, you know nothing of the real world, and most of the times you just are thinking with your, thinking with your, mojo. Think, whatever the expression is, I can't find the correct analogy. You're thinking with your, other brain. You're horny as hell. You don't really think straight. That's what I'm trying to say. So, so to find a partner, it was better to follow your parents' advice. You know. So, and it was a deal. It was a deal between people, and with time, you know, with time, people learn to love each other unconditionally. Sometimes, because when you get together because of the butterflies, the butterflies, they are temporary. It's a crush, you know. You're drowned, you are drunk with the hormones, you're possessed, and once it's out of your system, I don't know, months, years in, you realize that you actually don't like that person at all. because of the little things that you missed, that your parents might have recognized immediately, but you just missed because you were so horny, you know? So, unfortunately, that tradition is gone, and I don't know if it's ever going to come back. So, yeah. All right. Tell me what you guys think.